Hello and welcome back. Even if we work in the studio in Logic or Cubase or Reaper, Bitwig or any other DAW we like, a lot of us still play with Ableton Live due to its amazing warping capabilities and intuitive controls. Warping, however, is bugged in Ableton, and I've been telling people for over a decade about this. Okay, so this track is not warped, and this is a kick drum. This is our warp point, so I'll delete the original warp point, okay? As usual, if you're going to warp a track, you just need to right-click and say warp from here straight. That will make your warp point 1 and all the intro in the negative numbers before, and it will supposedly be warped. But it says 144.99 instead of 145. I zoom in the end, and you can see it's completely shifted, and it displaces it little by little, till in the end it's unmixable and totally off the grid. If you just type here the BPM on the clip, it will get squared and you shouldn't have any problems. I will warp another track and we will see. Here we have a second track to warp. This one is another 145 track. On this track, Ableton detected 145 BPM automatically. So let's do our warping. Make the warp point on the start of your first kick bass. Now double click on the previous warp point, so you just got 1 point. It's very important to just have one warp point. Right click on your only warp point now and select warp from here straight. So this says 145 right here and should be correct. Correct? Let's zoom in. Not correct. And this says it's on 145. If you want to straighten this up, most people just put another dot right here and move it onto the grid. Well, that is wrong, and you should never do that. Instead of this, what you need to do is go to your only warp point and type on the BPM any number and then the actual BPM. And this way, it will be in time just with one warp point. When you do this, the track has no extra artifacts or any phasing when mixing with other tracks. The other very big plus to this warping method is that it is very quick, so time saving. Multiple warping points are much harder to place, and I can't stress this enough. It is wrong. Let's do this a third time so it sinks in and it's clear. I will show you the difference when mixing a double warp point and a single warp point track. Here we got another 145 track. Kick, I believe, starts here. So make a warp point there and delete the previous warp point by double clicking on it. And then right click on your new warp point and select warp from here straight. Okay, let's check, see if the end is also displaced. Yes, it displaced it again, and by a lot. That looks like a bad mix. So let's put it where it should be with a second warp point and hear the mix. Now let's do the warp properly and see how this sounds. Just remove the second warp point and type any other BPM on the box and then the right BPM. This is one of my finest discoveries in Ableton, and it is very important to warp our tracks the right way to avoid extra artifacts. I hope you like the show, and feel free to like and subscribe and all the rest. Check the Patreon for all the channel presets and much more. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.